Well, hello. This is the final episode and the final review of the Nokta Makro Anfibio. I have really enjoyed metal detecting with this detector. I appreciate Kellyco for letting me get it and sending it to me for me to test. It's been a lot of fun, found some cool stuff with it. I'm going to first of all tell you the pros that I like about this Anfibio, and then I'm going to talk about the couple of cons. These two cons are honestly, it's just preference. So let's get to these pros and I'll show you what I enjoyed about this metal detector. First of all, let me go ahead and give you the pros that I have. Number one, the very first episode, y'all remember the fast recovery speed. Super fast recovery speed. Man, I enjoyed that. The second thing that I enjoy about this metal detector is the frequency settings. It has those three frequency settings: 5 kilohertz, 14 kilohertz, and 20 kilohertz. I caught myself using, well, I can't really say one over the other. Sometimes I do it to 14, and then sometimes I'd catch myself with 5. It just depends on where I was at, what I was doing, what I was searching for. Number 3, the change between the centimeters and inches. I didn't have the book, so I couldn't. When I got this detector, it didn't come with a book. Now I could have looked it up. I could have been smart like most people and get on the internet and just download the manual. I didn't do that. I just winged it. I shouldn't have, seeing how I was reviewing it. The centimeters to inches, I showed y'all that in one of the other videos that just came out maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago of the hunt me and Chris did, the Wheat Penny Challenge, and I showed you how to change that centimeters to inches, and it's something I learned from somebody else. So I enjoy the easiness of that, of switching it over. I like because you can switch it from one to the other. It's a detector that can be used in America or overseas where they use the metric system. Number 4, it has the number of tones, the tone modes, the number of tone modes. You have the 2-tone, the 3-tone, the 4-tone, the 5-tone. Because I am most familiar with the Garrett metal detectors, I stuck with the 3-tone mode most of the time. You see me a couple times jumping to that 4-tone mode. I enjoyed that, but I'm used to that 3-tone. Number 5, it picks out coins really well. I do like that about this detector. Locks on those numbers. You've even seen that water hunt. I was thinking pull tab range, but that thing was locking on 31. And when it locks on 31, you can just about bet your bottom dollar it's a nickel most of the time. Number 6, the simplicity of the ground balance feature. I enjoyed how easy it was to ground balance this metal detector. Y'all showed y'all that a couple different times. I showed you at the beach, showed you there when I was at the lake with this detector. Real simple to ground balance. You can do it manually, or you can do it with by the number system, or you can do it manually. Number 7, I enjoy the pinpointing accuracy of this metal detector. I mean, they're making them all very well now, but the pinpoint function on this thing works very good, and you can really hone in where that thing is. If you recall that when I took it to the beach and I was pinpointing, and that first target I dug, I made a circle, and then I went over and I pinpointed again, and I put an X inside that circle. Well, after I actually dug that hole, come to find out, that dime I found was right underneath that X. So the pinpoint function was very, very awesome. It worked really good. Okay, this is probably my favorite one. And I know some of you is like, well, you're not really supposed to pay attention to that all the time. I get it. The VDI readout and those big numbers, that's probably my favorite thing. Is those big, huge numbers on this screen. That's probably the best feature of this metal detector, in my opinion. Some people don't like to use they'll tell you don't stare at the screen when you're metal detecting. I get it, but at the same time, it is a tool. Use that tool, and if you are a metal detector, if you stare at your metal detector all the time, you want to have big numbers, and that's something I've seen with the first AT Pro that I had, and now Chris has that same detector. Its VDI numbers are really, really small on that screen, as opposed to my Garrett Ace 400. It's bigger. But if you are going to look at the metal detector, and when you do get a tone, even if you're not a watcher, even if you don't watch the screen the whole time, when you're swinging this thing and you're walking and you're looking where you're going, and all of a sudden and you hit it and you want to see the number, you don't have to focus in really small to see that number. That number is big. It takes up the entire screen, the very middle, very center of that screen, the whole thing. I like that. One of my favorite features. I mentioned this before, and just because this is the final review, I will mention it again. The number 9 is the wireless headphones and how easy they set up and they pair with this metal detector. However, there's one catch. You have to have the Nokta Makro headphones, wireless headphones. You can't order some of the any others that's out there on the market. You can't order your own pair and pair them through a Bluetooth. It has to be the Nokta Makro brand. It's okay. They're actually not that expensive. I've actually looked into purchasing some for my Simplex, and they're about $100. So if you're interested, check out the links below and contact us before you buy them. Number 10, the arm and elbow adjustment on the unit. I'll go ahead and just show it to you here. You got this adjustment here. You can push this button over and you can adjust this thing to go all the way up for those smaller arms. Emily with little dirt diggers, I noticed that hers, when she was metal detected, they pushed it all the way up because her arms are smaller. But then you got some guys who got longer arms, they got it to where you can adjust it to their arm length. Number 11, the rechargeable batteries. Now, when I first got this metal detector, Chris asked me, he said, rechargeable batteries? He said, built in like lithium batteries? I said, yeah. He said, that means, what if it goes bad? I said, I don't know. I guess contact the company. I guess they'll take care of it. I don't know. He wasn't real fond of it, but I like it. The reason why I like it is because I hate changing out batteries. And your batteries go dead, you gotta go change them out. This one here, you plug it up the day before you know you go on metal detecting, plug that thing in the wall, charges them right up. Boom, you're done. And with a Garrett or with some other brand, I don't know all of them that do this, but right now the Garrett detectors, you have to change batteries in them. It takes the AA's. And I'm not trying to say that one's better than the other one. This is my preference, okay? My preference. I think of my cell phone. You just plug it into the wall. You think of anything that we have today, it has a charging cord, just plug it in the wall, you're done. That's what I like about this new generation of metal detectors. Lithium battery, plug it right in, a couple hours, it's charged up, it's ready to go for the day. I like that. And I told y'all way back at the beginning, I was going to test to see how long I could use a metal detector with its current charge. The most metal detecting I did in a single charge was 10 hours. I did 10 hours of metal detecting, roughly 10 hours. And that was in cold weather, just different things. The manufacturer, and on the box it says 19 hours. I don't know. I didn't have it on that long. I didn't have it running that long between charges, so I'm not real sure. But 10 hours, that gives you a whole day of metal detecting, so that gets you back home where you can charge it. Now, probably the second, this would probably up there next to that VDI readout. This right here is something I really enjoy about this detector. It's the breaking down. This is number 12. Is breaking this thing down and the ease of it. Now, again, this goes back to my Garrett days where I have a Garrett machine. The metal detector that I have, it don't have this function, but I like this. I like that. Locks in place. Got another one here. I'll tell you where this worked well at. When I traveled to the beach and I took both the Simplex and the Anfibio down to the beach, we had to pack all of our clothes in the van. The kids had to get in the van. Everything that we took down there on that trip, and I was able to break this detector down in, what is that, 2.5 feet? A little over 2.5 feet, maybe 27 inches, something like that. I didn't measure it. Man, that's compact, and I like that. So that in itself, that's another reason why I really like the Anfibio. And I know that's not just an Anfibio thing, that's something that Nokta Makro is doing across the board. There may be other companies that are doing the same thing. That's cool to me. Something I didn't use just because I didn't have it out at night was the backlight. I didn't use it at night, so I could have done a night hunt, but it's just cold. But low light conditions, turn that backlight. You can actually set how bright you want it or how dim you want it. And I'm sure that will also be a variable with your battery life as well for that one charge. The last video you just watched of Testing Tuesdays is fully waterproof up to 16 feet. Pretty awesome. And of course I didn't get 16 feet, but that's the head. That's this unit right here. You can get this unit underwater up to 16 feet. It's actually like 16 and a few inches, but 16 feet, you got to have some good scuba gear or diving gear to even get down that far. One other thing I really like about it with the water hunt was the vibrate function. I put that thing on vibrate function, and especially when the whole unit was underwater, when I had this whole head underwater, you could barely hear the sound of it because I didn't have the waterproof headphones. I stuck this whole thing down in the water and you could barely hear it. But when you hit that vibrate and you got that buzzing in your hand, especially if you're trying to watch where you're going, trying to keep balance in the water, and then all of a sudden you feel, not only you're hearing, barely hear, but you're feeling it. You're feeling the target, and you're feeling what the detector is picking up. Before we finish, I do want to give you the couple cons that I have, if you want to call them cons. Number one, I told you I enjoy how this thing pinpoints. The one thing that me personally that I didn't like about this particular detector and this particular setup is the pinpoint button itself. Now, I hate having to compare it to a Garrett, but that's all I know is Garrett detectors. So I will show you real quick, comparing the two together. You have the Garrett detector. The pinpoint button is right in the center, and it's a big button, and it's also, of course, it has some color to it along with the rest of them, but it's a bigger button. It's bigger than all the other buttons on there, and it's right in the middle. Your hand, you're holding it, and it's right in the middle. You just click it here, bam, you're pinpointing. The Anfibio right here is your pinpoint button, and as you can tell, it is no bigger than any other button on here. It's bigger than the couple here in the middle, but all these buttons here are virtually about the same size, and it's not a different colored button. I mean, it could even be a gray, like a light gray color, so that way you can really pinpoint if you want to look down there. And the reason why I say that is because I always wear gloves when I metal detect. I found myself sometimes trying to hit the pinpoint button, and I actually changed a setting on this detector and had to stop metal detecting because I hit the wrong button trying to pinpoint. Does that mean it's a horrible thing? No. Some people don't use gloves when they metal detect. Matter of fact, there was a time where I actually, when I was in the water metal detector, and I didn't film it, but I wasn't using the gloves, and it was a whole lot easier finding those buttons. It was a whole lot easier. But at the same time, those that wear gloves, the gloves get wet, they start getting muddy, and you can't really feel good with them, and you go holding this metal detector, and you click that button, you got to be careful to make sure you're hitting the pinpoint button. That's not really a gripe, that's just something that I saw was a challenge for me. So don't let this hurt your idea of purchasing an Anfibio multi. If that's the only thing that's bad about this detector, you're doing really good. The only other con, if you want to call it a con, that I have for the Anfibio multi is this one thing. You remember a couple episodes, probably back in February, late January, we went metal detecting in a certain place, and I actually had a guy ask me in the very first video how the metal detector does it get chattery around high voltage power lines? That's something I said, well, if I get near some and I'm metal detecting, I'll check that feature. But if you remember when I was out there that I showed y'all what it was doing, yes, it was chattery. When I got under those big lines, it got chattery. But the cool thing was, again, I had the headphones on. It was chattery the whole time. It was going ding, 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 just because all the voltage in the air. So it was real chattery. But the cool thing about that detector is you get over a target, whether it was a coin or trash, it didn't matter what it was. As soon as that coil, you could be making all kinds of racket. As soon as it went right over top of that target, bam, it started hitting right on it. It gave the tone it was supposed to give, and it also gave your readout. It told you exactly what it was, gave you that VDI readout there. So is it a con? Sure it is. It's going to be annoying if you're in those high power line areas, but it doesn't discourage you from metal detecting around them. So don't let that be something that would stop you from purchasing or using this detector in those areas. And last but not least, I want to personally thank Mark with Kellyco. I want to thank him so much for trusting me, trusting Southern Relics, a young YouTube channel, with one of their detectors. These aren't cheap, and to trust us with taking care of it, I tried my best to take care of this metal detector. It still needs to be cleaned a little bit before I send it back to him. Kellyco, thank you so much. Look forward to any other products you may want us to test for you. Thank you. To our audience, to our subscribers, thank y'all for being a subscriber, thank you for watching our videos, and show you this detector, show you what Kellyco sent us. If anybody's interested in one of these metal detectors, look in the description and click on those links below, and you'll see one that says the Nokta Makro Anfibio. Click that blue link if you're interested in purchasing one. Go check out and see the prices on them. But before you order, please send me an email. Thank you for watching. Hope you have a good day. God bless you.